Another group of characters involved in a story where past and present collide are the young lads known as the History Boys.
How do you define history, Mr. Rudge?
It's just one bloody thing after another.
Hit that boy! Hit it!
A group of college-bound English students get some important life lessons in The History Boys, the film version of Alan Bennett's Tony Award-winning smash play.
So we shall be meeting again after all.
Well, scholarship candidates now, sir.
Oxford and Cambridge. It's a hot ticket, standing room only.
As the saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So The History Boys has journeyed from stage to screen with its cast intact.
40 years wandering around in the desert, it felt like sometimes, you know, because in March 2004, we did the read-through. And here we are, the autumn 2006, and we're still talking about it. And we did it 500 times on stage. And then we made the movie last August.
The chemistry of a bunch of boys in a classroom is quite unique in the way of how they behave with one another and how you have to believe that they've spent an awful lot of time, 7 years? Yeah. They're meant to have spent together in a classroom. And to get that kind of sizzling behaviour where there's sparks of one another, where they can speak to each other in that manner, was something that I think we needed to have done before we did translate it to film, which we did because we had spent a year together.
I think the quality of the relationships wouldn't quite have been the same if we'd been a fresh bunch of actors brought in just to do the film.
And now for some poetry.
Most of the stuff poetry's about hasn't happened to us yet.
When it does, you'll have the antidote ready. Grief, happiness.
I'm small.
I don't always understand.
I'm not good in interviews.
We're doomed.
I'd kind of forgotten about the movie because it's been a year since we did it, and the show rumbled on, and we went right around the planet with it. We went to Hong Kong, Australia, New Zealand, and then over to the States. I remember some guy was doing an interview where he said, Hong Kong, New Zealand, Australia, and then America. I said, yeah. He said, boy, is that an out-of-town tour or what? So I think he was right.
We could think of 1,000 reasons why it's been so popular across the world. I mean, in Hong Kong and New Zealand and Sydney and America and Britain, and it's going to other places as well in Europe. But I think the main thing is the writing.
They're clever, but they're crass. You can't polish a turd.
Nobody writes like Alan nowadays. Really nobody does. I can't think of any other writer that does what he does. Observing life and then making it dramatic and funny and touching and seemingly so ordinary. Nobody speaks the way he writes anymore. It's just genius writing, and maybe that's what carries it.
It isn't that he doesn't produce results,
Très bien.
but they are unquantifiable.
Ici, on ne parle que français.
Enough of this silliness.
It would be easier for all concerned if you retired early.
I don't think there's time for his kind of teaching anymore.
Sir. Sure. I've certainly had teachers who did what Hector and Irwin do combined, which is, I think, the best way, teaching the soul and getting you through your exams, which of course you need to do.
Mr. Hector's stuff's not meant for the exam. It's to make us more rounded human beings. It's nobler.
The best moments in reading are when you come across something that you'd thought special to you. It's as if a hand has come out and...
Some people just never learn from past mistakes, as Matthew Broderick and Danny DeVito prove in their warring holiday comedy, Deck the Halls.
Christmas can get a little out of hand, as it does in this movie.
Guess what day it is?
Steve, his character is very into Christmas. Obviously, he considers himself Mr. Christmas. And it's coming from a good place. You want it to be nice for the kids.
This is a busy time of year, so we have to have a game plan. All must-sing caroling requests to be submitted in writing.
But then he gets carried away, and then Danny moves in.
Who moves in the middle of the night?
I'm Buddy Hall. We just moved in across the street. I come in and have this desire to see my house from space and just pack them on, just go, throw every light you can on there. Buddy. The lights go into his bedroom at night, he can't sleep, and he's trying everything he can to sabotage it.
This isn't over yet.
You're gonna cut his power, aren't you? SpongeBob, this is SquarePants.
What?
This is best Christmas ever.
We're gonna settle this like men.
They're acting like a bunch of 12-year-olds.
You want lights? I'll give you lights. Oh, gosh. You sure you've been watering that thing? It went up awfully fast. Both Steve and Buddy, in their different ways, are very into, you know, decorating for Christmas, and I'm a little... I do it eventually, but I'm a little like, oh, God, we gotta take all that stuff out.
I do it because my mom has a list by the time I get home, and so I'm basically like the elf or whatever, and she's in charge, which I kind of, I mean, you know, I think Sarah's more into it probably than you, right?
Well, she's more organized about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the elf, and she tells me what to
That's
do.
kinda what I
But then
thought you were
everybody
gonna
else
say.
comes out. But the awful part with the thing to remember when lighting is you eventually have to take them down.
Tips!
Danny's house looks really good to me.
It really does. No, it really
I like
does.
lights.
It made me like lights.
Yeah, that's kind of good too.
I like the was it a snowman that went like up and down? Because see, normally I wouldn't be into that kind of stuff, but it really kind of grew on me. Yeah.
It was a combination of really pretty and creepy.
I saw the house for the first time in its normal state, and I thought, wow, these are really, they put these two houses pretty close together and across this little cul-de-sac turnaround thing. And we went off to shoot something else, and we came back, and they had just filled the house with lights, filled it. I mean, like, there is not an inch on that house that doesn't have some kind of chaser light or moving light or something that's blinking or light-emitting polymers or whatever you call them. You know, faces and music and Santa Clauses and spinning things. It was just like, my goodness, you know, imagine this guy moves into your neighborhood. You would just go bananas, which Matthew does.
Around here, I'm the Christmas guy.
I don't think so.
Watch and learn.
That's gonna swell up.
Got the next 5 years of trees all lined up.
How'd you like to chop it down with my chainsaw?
Does anyone smell gas?
I think we should all probably, you know, scale it back and get back to what Christmas is really about, but not till after this Christmas. Deck the halls should be seen. I like the way you've duct taped the antlers to their heads.
Apparently, reindeer are not indigenous to the region. Whoa, I didn't see that coming.
He's real! I knew it!
That could have ended badly. Where are my clothes?
I had to get your body temperature up, so I zipped this into the sleeping bag. Trust me, it works.
While Broderick and DeVito are busy cannibalizing Christmas, director Richard Linklater reveals the perils of eating patties in Fast Food Nation. The dubious practices of the meat industry form the backbone of director Richard Linklater's Fast Food Nation, an adaptation of Eric Schlosser's nonfiction bestseller.
I had read the book like everybody else, but it never crossed my mind it would be a movie. You know, or if it was, it'd be a documentary or something. It's only when I started talking to Eric about it. He came through where I live in Austin, Texas on his book tour, and we got to talking about it. And he mentioned, what about it as a fiction film, as just a character piece about these workers who find themselves at different points in the fast food chain. And that's what got me going. I thought, oh, that's kind of what I do.
The fact that he took these real-life characters and kind of populated them, and you know, populated the story with them, and had their actions and motivations based upon some of the themes of the book, was kind of an interesting way to go.
There's nothing like making a movie to really open your eyes to the real world. And I think for me, a real revelation was just exactly where ground beef comes from.
The fecal coliform counts are just off the charts. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Not exactly.
I'm saying there's in the meat.
What the film shows is a system, you know, that has triumphed in recent years, that treats animals like they're disposable commodities, treat the land like it can just be trashed, and ultimately treats people like they are disposable.
Pues nos tocó ser parte del equipo de limpieza y me dieron una manguera de presión, y yo pues riegue agua para limpiar la sangre, la grasa, el pelo y toda la mierda que queda de las vacas.
You know, we just have to put the facts there to make people think. I think that's what's good about this movie, because people will think and people will stop.
Yeah, honestly, for us as performers, you know, and as young performers, you know, the only thing we can really do is try to do positive, you know, messages through our work. You know, there's not, and also, you know, apply it to our lives as well. You know, and I think that it starts at home. You know, I think that all we're really trying to do is put a set of facts out there and let people make their own educated assumptions and theories about what's good for them. And because we're not trying to preach anybody, you know, but if that happens in unity, then you know what, we're on our way to progress.
It just asks people to consider the issues of how maybe a 69-cent meat patty wrapped in wax paper that smells so nice got to you in 60 seconds and standing at a window, and kind of the industrialization of our food supply is something that's really worth considering and discussing, and I think the movie will affect different people different ways, but it's worth talking about.
You got the Walmart, the Kmart, and the Target, right? I mean, you got Chuck E. Cheese, you got Taco Bell, you got Arby's, you got Mickey's, you got Denny's, you've got Chili's, you got Applebee's, you got Wendy's, you got Hardee's, right? You got the KFC, the IHOP. Do they still have that, their Wiener Schnitzel?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thank God it's still hanging in there.
This is the type of project that just kind of makes you aware of where you get your food. It makes you aware of, you know, of what you put in your body. I mean, that's really one of the main goals, aside from raising the awareness of a bunch of social and, you know, and universal, you know, issues that we share in America.
You're not supposed to care about the people. You're not supposed to care about the undocumented workers. You're not supposed to care about the teenager who sells you your burger. You're not supposed to care about the executives. You're not supposed to care about anyone behind your little, easily disposable, inexpensive purchase. So the movie begs you to think and care about all these people.
Wow, tastes like it's right off the grill.
You don't think it needs like liquid smoke? Or...
No, I think it's perfect.
Will Ferrell found himself trapped in a movie that was stranger than fiction. But will critics bring him back to reality? Here's what critics across the country think of the latest releases.
This is a story about a man named Harold Crick. Harold lived a life of solitude. He would walk home alone. He would eat alone. When others' minds would fantasize about their upcoming day...
Hello?
Stranger Than Fiction finds Will Ferrell playing a lonely IRS agent who realizes that he's actually a character in author Emma Thompson's new book.
So you're the young gentleman who called me about the narrator. The thing to determine conclusively is whether you're in a comedy or a tragedy. Have you met anyone recently who might loathe the very core of you?
I'm an IRS agent.
Get bent, tax man!
Everyone hates me.
Well, that sounds like a comedy.
Rolling Stone's Peter Travers enthuses, this is a Ferrell you've never seen before, nailing a role that calls for breakneck humor in the final race against the clock.
How exciting is that?
Variety's Todd McCarthy says the film remains inventive and funny to the end, and features fine performances from Will Ferrell and especially Emma Thompson.
Is this a joke?
However, Colin Covert of the Minneapolis Star-Tribune moans, there's no joy in seeing Ferrell playing off his drone. And the life lessons he learns are all of the all I really need to know I learned in kindergarten variety.
What?
Why? Come on!
Stranger Than Fiction finds more than truth amongst critics, who give the comedy 3 out of a possible 4 stars. That's our show for this week. Thanks for watching Cinenews. We leave you now with Annette Bening receiving her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
I'm thrilled. I'm kind of overwhelmed. I never imagined this moment, so it's a little unreal.
I think that she's the world's best actress. She's the world's best mother and the world's best wife. And I can't speak for Annette, but I intend every few days to come down here and just hang around this sidewalk, you know?
When I was a kid, I went to the theater and I saw a Shakespeare play, and that's what got me where I am right here, because I love the theater. Then I was lucky enough to be able to be on the stage, become a classical actress. But what happened that was more significant happened before that, when I was a little kid, because I always wanted a family. So when I got to be a grown-up in the movies, I found my husband, and he's the person I'm the most grateful to because he makes moments like this take on the proper perspective, and I have my children. But I love my work, I love my craft so much, and I feel it's a journey that I'm still very much in the midst of.